The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday.
The Friday before Christmas. What do you know? Can't get better than this. So, before we get into our show, Wednesday was the licensing board hearing, which came to a screeching halt.
Screeching. Yes.
Because a specific individual in the city brought to their attention that they failed to list every license that was being renewed with the addresses and names of the managers, et cetera, and they only put renew 2018 licenses. So they said, okay, they had to adjourn the meeting, and they're supposed to have a special meeting on Tuesday. Well, here's the problem with that. The meeting wasn't posted yesterday, so they're not going to meet the 48-hour requirement because Monday's a holiday. So I guess it's going to be Wednesday or Thursday. But it gets even better. Here's where your tax dollars are in effect. The licensing board is having people call the licensees and reminding them by phone that you need to come in right away to renew your license, or otherwise you won't have a license for 2018. That's not their job. There are other things that need to be done and should be done. But instead, they have people within City Hall making these phone calls to these businesses. Now, I understand that we want to support business and support local business and not see a business have to close down for 18 days because they don't have a license. But letters were sent out to the licensees with a notice in there saying that there will be no special meetings, yet they have to have a special meeting now because they messed up. And if you don't renew, you're out of luck. You will be closed on January 1st. And when I looked at the list of license renewals, I couldn't believe some of the businesses that didn't file their license renewal applications. I was stunned. Restaurants and bars, and I'm like, don't you know what you have to do?
No.
But we have to we now have to, not only do we have to babysit our politicians, we got to babysit the businesses at Fall River now. This is sad.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, in Fall River, it's always been a matter of, especially if you're a campaign contributor, picking up the phone and going, hey, and then, and this is the problem because now that we have the guardian of the open meeting law, their feet are being held to the fire. And I know a lot of people say, this is just trivial stuff, but apparently, the government doesn't think it's trivial. Right. It's a law. And as a matter of fact, I just got my copy at the last retirement board meeting annually we have to sign that we got a copy and we read a copy of the open meeting law. You're required to at least, you're supposed to know this and adhere to it. So don't say that. It's like, well, if this is the new attitude that, look, we just don't bother with anything that we don't like, well, maybe somebody's going to say, well, I'm gonna not read the statute on prohibiting murder, and I'll go out and kill a few people, and my defense will be, hey, I didn't read it. I'm from Fall River. I didn't read it. It was like, I don't have to abide by the law. And this is one of the problems that, the old business as usual in this city was always backroom, behind closed doors, and circumventing laws and bending laws. And we saw the fiasco that went on about lack of transparency at the last council meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this is nothing new. I mean, this has been going on now, for especially during this administration. Where they don't even, they spend the entire meeting texting each other. With these clandestine texts. Now
and they better be careful with that, because under the Public Records Act, their phones can be brought in and everything checked out.
Yep.
So they better be careful on texting. I mean, this is why New Bedford doesn't let their board members, their city councilors, their school committee member, none of them can use texting. They're supposed to use the city email system only because it's all governed by public records.
God, you'd think they would have learned that after the Hillary debacle.
No, well, they don't learn.
They don't pay attention.
Fall River doesn't learn anything.
That's right. We're in an alternate universe.
Yeah,
we don't pay attention to anything.
We define bizarro world.
That's right.
Well, again, Mark Dion hits the top of the charts.
Yeah.
As you're eating your mac and cheese, the government is taking your money.
Yeah, what's he saying? Something we said we started this show 5 or 6 years ago. Follow the money.
Follow
right?
the money. That's right.
Follow the money, like we always say. Follow the money. And it's really funny when he says, you know, they'll vote for anybody that throws a nickel at them, and that's the key. You can make promises, and everybody gets amnesia about the fact that these people, in fact, didn't. You know, it's like now, the mayor has promised to get rid of the purple bags. Everybody forgot the fact that he was an advocate for the purple bags from the beginning. So now he's going to get rid of them, make a hole in the budget that we have to make up, but nobody cares about that. You just make a promise that you're going to save $2 on a bag. That's it. You know, you're in.
But the best part about that is Kathy Ann is already doing a back paddle.
Yeah.
Okay, she's already backpedaling on it.
Well, it's kind of like the rail trail. Anything you want before the election, you got, buddy. You're a voter, you got it. Now it's like, we're getting rid of the purple bags. Maybe.
Because Kathy Ann's saying that they can only do this if they can get money from recycling and, you know,
they're not going to ever make any money recycling because they don't enforce anything. I got a new neighbor across the street. It's not my job, but I looked across the street this morning when I put out my trash early. The recycled bin was full of white plastic bags.
Of course.
Everything was in a white plastic. It was full. And it was like, well,
every one of those bags is $150.
That's right, $150. So, I mean, but who pays for that? We do.
That's right.
Right? You know, the neighbor's not paying, but nobody. You'd think the trash people would leave something and say, "Don't do this," because it's costing the city money. It's like, the hell with it. It's not costing the city anything. It's only costing the taxpayers. And I'm not going to go over there and say, well, you know, I'm the plastic bag police. Well, guess what? It's not my job, man. You know, that's it. Not my job. I'm not going to go over there. I mean, he should know that. But hey, you know, I don't know whether he's from out of town or what. They just moved in. But you know, the place is the entire everything in that recycled bin was in a white plastic bag. So, $150 a pop. They probably got about, I don't know. They probably got about $2,500 worth of fines in that, right in that recycle.
Well, that will pay for the purple bags.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Mark says in the column something very interesting. Why bother? As I said at the beginning of this column, city politics is about personality and petty infighting. It's not about balanced budgets or where to get money to replace the money the city won't be getting from the canceled purple bags. Maybe 7 people in the city will pay attention to that process. This is the problem. And you, the voter, are responsible for this because you vote for these people. Instead of draining the swamp appropriately and just saying, you know what, all of you are gone, and elect 9 new individuals, you put back into office the same people who cause the same problems over and over and over again. And you think that something's going to change. And somebody brought up something very important, and I know a good majority of our voters are elderly. But somebody brought up a perfect thing. The majority of voters in Fall River, and this is the truth, are retirees in our elderly population. And so they go out and they vote because that was something they've always done. That was what they had to do. But they don't know anybody who's running, so they vote for the names that they know. It's not their fault. That's what they do. But we've got to get more younger people out there to vote. When you turn 18 and you register to vote, don't just register to vote for the sake of registering to vote. Go out and vote. Run for office. Make a change in your community because this is never going to change Fall River. Fall River is going to remain a crap hole. It's going to remain a cesspool if these people stay in office all the time.
Yeah.
There's so much so that they've made it impossible for you to even recall an elected official now. because Mike Mioza and his team of nitwits wanted to make everything impossible for you to do. They didn't make a charter that is more beneficial to the community. They made a charter that is robbing the community of its rights.
More
and we told you
beneficial
that.
to the politicians, created a monarchy. But, that's the reality. The reality is the demographic in Fall River changes. We remember back in '95 when they got rid of 5 city councilors because of their behavior and voting as a block and voting not in the best interest. We remember when mayors were fearful of increasing property taxes unless it was an absolute necessity. They were fearful of doing a lot of things that the public would not support because we had enough voters in this city to affect an election. But over the years, the city began to, deteriorate and deteriorate. Then we had the ads to bring in the people from all over the country into low-income housing. The taxes began to increase, and I love it when they say, "Oh, we got the lowest. Our taxes are very low." No, they're not. They're very high. I'm not talking about the number. I'm talking about the ratio. So let's not listen to their con about Fall River's tax rate is lower than this place and that place and this place and that, and it's not even actually lower than Newton. But guess what? The fact is that if you're paying $5 per thousand and you only got $1, guess what? $5 tax increase is very large. I think we had a map on this show a couple of years ago about that looked at the tax rate in the ratio of income. I want everybody to remember something when all these bozos go up and try to con you about, like, we're not paying enough because our tax rate is so low. This is the poorest city in the state. There are places that can afford $17 salads and $12 hamburgers.
And $32 steaks.
And a $32 steak. They're not Fall River. Those businesses will be gone in a few years. Just as a lot of businesses have gone because people don't have the money. The first thing a company does when it wants to open something is they do a study of the area to make sure that they can sustain their business. They're not opening up any high-end steakhouses in Fall River. You're not seeing Root Crisp or Abe and Louie's opening up satellites or Peter Luger's. Peter Luger's is the best steakhouse in the world and in the United States. It's been in Brooklyn for years. No other place. They decided to open up one other one. Where did they open it up? Long Island, New York. Not Fall River. Why? Because Long Island, New York is very affluent. That's where all the richies live. And guess what? They can afford to pay $75 for a steak. And that's all you get is the steak. Everything else is a la carte. And for those of you that have never been in a prime steakhouse, everything's a la carte. So you're going to pay $75. You're going to get you might get a porterhouse for 2 and split it for $140. Then you have to pay for your mashed potatoes and your vegetable and, whatever. So
$10 for the mashed potatoes.
That's right. But look,
they can afford it.
They can afford it. It's in New York. New York has a lot of rich people. The poor people don't go to Peter Luger's. They may go once a year. They may save all their money to go once a year. And the thing is that this is the con that they run on you all the time because it is about money. It's always about money. It's all about following the money. And the thing is that, our tax rate, it drove people out of this community. Because before, when we had a lot of middle-income people who lived in this city that would vote these people out and vote some new blood in occasionally, they're gone. Because the tax rate in Fall River started getting close to the tax rate of other communities. You know what they said? Why the hell should I live in Fall River? With the crime and with all the other problems it has, when I can go pay a couple of dollars more and live in a bedroom community where there's no problems. I mean, this is the reality. Reality is, look at our demographic. the elderly people that are trapped here, retirees that are trapped here because they can't afford to move away, yeah, they'll vote, but who else votes? Who else is left to vote? How many middle-class people are left? Not enough. Because you look at who votes, you got the elderly people who sometimes can be bought with a chow mein sandwich or a, you know,
a ham and bean dinner,
a gift bag or something like that. And then you got the political hacks and all their relatives to keep the trough flowing. So this is the reason, you know, there is a reason, and that reason is the fact that it's about money. People moved away from this community. I don't know how many friends I have that now live in Somerset or Swansea or Westport or Dartmouth that used to be in Fall River and used to vote. And they used to vote, and if they had the audacity to do what they've done for the past 10 years, which says it's your obligation to pay more fees and taxes every single year while we misspend money, they would have been out so fast you'd have thought they had a jetpack on their rear end.
Exactly. But you know, the interesting part about it is when property taxes are raised and purple bag fees are imposed and other fees are imposed, the majority of the elderly don't have to pay those fees.
That's right.
And so they don't care about voting for the same people into office. People like Leo Pelletier, who have never done anything for this city at all. Oh, I called Leo Pelletier and he fixed a pothole in front of my house. Guess what? If you would have called DCM, they would have done the same thing for you. This is the problem. People think that these people are doing them big favors. They're not. They're calling people who have to do their job. And they can't say, it's not my job, man, because it is their job. And that's the biggest problem. Oh, you know how they just passed that raving tax plan in the federal government?
Yeah.
Here's the effect in Massachusetts. Property owners are calling their tax assessor's office. They want to prepay their property tax for next year, because property taxes are not going to be deductible. So next year, when you do your 2018 taxes in January of 2019, you can't deduct your property tax. So people want to pay it this year so they can deduct it. And that's what's happening. So cities like Fall River will love it if a lot of people call in and say, hey, I want that property tax money now because I'll be ahead of the game. But then they'll get the hit next year when they don't have it.
Hey, this tax deal is probably the biggest con ever perpetrated in the public.
And
I mean, it's going to last, and these taxes, they're going to get a little bit, but they're going to get it taken out in other areas like property taxes and, you know, but it's only for 8 years. But you know what gets me about the companies? It's all over the national news. Like, oh, look at the great stimulus. All these companies are giving $1,000 bonuses to all their employees. They're not giving you a $1,000 break on anything you're buying from them, are they?
Exactly.
No, they're not hurting their bottom line. You know why? Because they're euphoric. They're high as a kite. It's like they've been in a marijuana parlor for the last 6 months. They're so high. They're so damn happy. They got a 14% tax increase forever. Not for 8 years, forever. Those companies are going to be rolling in the dough. Rolling in the dough.
And here's the thing. They said, oh, it's going to be more money in your paycheck every week. So the low income and moderate income people are going to benefit. No, just because you get $10 more a week in your paycheck, or $5 more a week in your paycheck, is not going to offset what you're going to lose
in your deductions.
Yes. And that's where people are missing the boat. And so again, this is the biggest con on the face of the earth. But we'll see what happens. I mean, because this is the mid-year elections. So what's going to happen is, if there's going to be a Republican overthrow, this will happen this year.
And remember, government never wastes money. I urge you all. I just got one of our viewers sent me a link to the
$9 million, $9 trillion.
$9 trillion.
Yep, $9 trillion shortfall.
The Attorney General being questioned about a $9 trillion missing, and you have to look at this, please. I don't have the link. We'll put it on. We'll put it on our. We'll put it on our Facebook page. But it's the title I have here is. Lying politicians can't explain, and a $9 trillion missing from the Federal Reserve. Mass report, And so,
and actually, that's the Facebook page it's available on, is Mass Report in the video section.
Yeah, please, please, go watch this. You want to talk about, this is like watching Kathy Ann.
Very Sahadi.
It's like $9 trillion, and the answers are like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. We're checking into it. $9 trillion. And watch the questioning. And at the end, the senator even said, this is outrageous. But who cares? It's only tax money. It's only your money and my money. $9 trillion. What's $9 trillion among friends? Gone. Gone.
I have a copy of that video. I was gonna bring it in. The problem is it's about 6 minutes long. Yeah. And I don't think we have 6 minutes to spare in our show.
Yeah, I know. It's too bad, because we should just have a special on that and other government waste.
Yep.
You know, and this is the thing. Look, the government is no longer for the people, by the people, and of the people. We see that our charter helps, and then we look at this probe of the Senate President, Rosenberg, and I like the end of this. It said, Senate committee has also refused to disclose what it's paying Hogan's levels. All 6 members either didn't return a request or deferred comment yesterday to Chairman Michael Rodrigues. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it sounds pretty familiar to me.
Who didn't respond to several emails, calls, and messages left at his office by the Herald.
Yep. And
Not Herald News, by the way.
No, it's the Boston Herald.
The Boston Herald.
Which is the Herald News, because the Boston Herald was just bought by the Gatehouse Media.
That's right. But the Gatehouse Media owns everything, but different newspaper. But again, you know, they...
A political power player.
Can't be investigated by a kangaroo court of people who owe him favors.
Right, because this guy owes Rosenberg favors. He owes every politician their favors because they keep getting the political jobs.
Yeah.
Therefore, how can he do an independent evaluation? He can't. Mike Rodrigues, shame on you. You put somebody in there that's going to find the way you want them to find against Senator Rosenberg, and that just says that there's no clarity or transparency in this investigation. So once again, people of Fall River, take it in the face.
Everybody take, the whole state. Here's a guy that gave himself an $80,000 stipend, increased his stipend to $80,000, had the audacity to say, well, I deserve it. I haven't had an increase in my stipend for 20 years. Well, guess what? You increased your pay virtually every one of those years. So who cares that you only got a $25,000 stipend before? Some people are working in Fall River for the entire year for less than that. So, you know, this is the insensitivity. Look, they don't care. They don't worry about health care. They don't worry about taxes. They don't worry about anything because they'll figure out a way to get around it, just like big corporations. They gave these big corporations a 14% decrease in their taxes forever. For what? To stimulate business? Well, guess what? I still got the article laying around at my house about how General Electric got $265 million back. They paid no income tax because of all the loopholes and the deductions. Even though they made trillions of dollars, what they didn't pay, they actually got back $265 million when they were the largest profit-making corporation in the United States that year. And why? Because they hired they have 165 tax attorneys on their payroll. So it pays off.
That's it. That's what it does.
You know, they don't pay anything. They don't care. Half of them half of them have got outsourced. Half of their stuff is outsourced. And I'll tell you what, if you really believe that this government on every level cares about the average working man, you really need to check yourself in to a clinic.
The Herald News wrote an opinion article, Our View, the fact lawyers are joining rail trail fight is a worrisome sign. I've got to read this quote here because this is funny as hell. Everyone knows Fall River. We're joblessness, we're three-deckers, we're low wages, and we're heroin.
Well, I mean, you can't argue with that. I hate to say it, but
Exactly, you can't. And it says, so for us, the rail trail is not just scenic, it's a little bit of defiance, a visible sign of an internal struggle, and upward striving, and we hope a sign of things to come. But, remember, there's a big but in this.
But.
Oh, sure, there will still be a trail, but who won't feel that it has been somehow besmirched? That Fall River has once again lived up to its reputation as a city where things never quite come to fruition, where every story has an ending that is simultaneously sad and funny. It's true. It's true. So now we're going to go. Now this is what's going to happen. The mayor is going to put us in litigation again, costing who the money? The taxpayer money, over something that he knew he shouldn't have done. He knew since 2013. Everyone said, the state said no, previous administration said no, DOT said no, everyone said no. But this mayor knows better than everybody else. Oh no, I know better. And then you've got a corporate counsel who's defiant and insubordinate, and he won't do what he's told to do. You can't win.
Wait a minute, he is the Supreme Court of Fall River.
Yeah, the Supreme Court of BS, that's for sure.
Right.
And once again, another thing that this mayor is responsible for is layoffs. Can you believe this? This mayor, talking about economic development that he's so good, because of the FROED and city split, it results in a layoff. Okay? Maria Doherty, a 29-year employee of the agency, was laid off. Her last day will be December 29th. A woman who's been working for 29 years in a job, because the city decided that they're going to terminate their relationship with a long-standing organization, which, you know, in fairness, we didn't really support a lot of what they've done. But 29-year, so this 29-year veteran is now out of a job.
Well, who cares? She's only just like a regular worker. Nobody cares about that. You know, and I'm reminded of the individual that worked for 24 years for the city of Fall River, went to work every day, did a good job by all accounts, and had serious medical issues. And the city then decided to, well, the Blue Cross didn't want to cover her because she was going outside the New England, even though there was only one person that really was that expert and she was comfortable. And rather than fight for this girl, the city basically said, well, first they did the same thing with kind of the rail trail. You know, oh yeah, we'll do it. Then they said, oh, we can't do it, this is it. But you know something, she hung in. She continued to appeal, and she won. And I wish her the best. She's going in for the surgeries, and
How much did those appeals cost the city?
No, she had to appeal by herself. The city cut her loose. City cut her loose. She ran out of sick leave. She actually had to retire and take a virtually very small retirement, because it was she had to get off and retire after 24 years, so she didn't have the years or the age, because she just couldn't afford it. You know, they were going to stop her pay. She was out of sick leave. They weren't going to pay her. They wouldn't fight for her medical care. But she continued to appeal, and I encouraged her to. I said, you know, just keep going. And she did, and she won. So now, hopefully, she will become healthy again, and but she had to retire. And guess what? The city gave her well, it wasn't even a city. The city council gave her a citation for her years of service to the city. 24 years of going to work every day, and you think the city would fight for her health? No. As you know, because
bend over, baby, take it dry.
Again, the testament to Mary Sahadi's comment. Not only are the retirees liabilities, but everybody that costs the city money is a liability, because this young lady was ill and had a lot of serious physical problems. You think that someone who worked for the city, they would fight for her, but no. So, you know, guess what? Good for you. And I wish you well on your surgeries. So. And
Merry Christmas, everybody. We won't be on the air on Monday, but we hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday.
And stay sober.
Have a great day.